Tough pill to swallow here tonight, man. Mm-mm-mm. This was not how we had expected this game to go, but shit happens, man. Shit happens. Give me just a second and we will be ready to go. All right, all right, all right. I just wanted to take a second and do what I had to do. Welcome to the Philthy DadPod Sports Podcast, a place where three washed up dads talk sports to the masses in between wiping asses. And I am your solo dolo host for the night, Ryan. And what was an electric day for the city really turned into a bummer as the Phils dropped game 4. Not only did they drop game 4, but they got no hit in game 4. Okay. That's not supposed to happen in the World Series. But the Astros, man, credit to the Astros, kudos to them. They fight back. They did what they had to do, and they tied the series up at 2 games apiece. And of course, we would have loved to take a 3-1 lead and get a chance to close it out here in Philly. But this just means more baseball. This just means more of an opportunity for this team to continue showing what they're made of, showing that this isn't a fluke, and they're here to take the whole thing. And like I said, this is a tough pill to swallow. But the beautiful thing about this is it is a 7-game series, and this isn't the end all be all. There's going to be another game tomorrow. There's going to be another game on Saturday. We get to continue watching this team and the Astros battle it out. It's been a great series. Again, I'm selfish. I want the Phillies to win every single game, but realistically, that is the best team in baseball over the last 5 years. And if you would have told me going into game 5 that the Phils would be tied up at 2 games apiece, I think myself and any Phillies fan in the world, and really any fan in the States that doesn't like the Astros, would take that. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to take it. We're going to move on to game 5. We're going to continue building. And I think I mean, look, we won game 1. We got shut out 5-0 in game 2. We won game 3. We get shut out 5-0 in game 4, and we just gotta keep doing we gotta fight back. That's what they've been doing all year, and we need another one. We need a big one. We cannot drop game 5 going back to Houston. But I got faith in my boys, and let's jump into the recap. Nola came into this game, and he needed a big one because his last 2 outings were not really that good. They weren't, the outings that we're expecting to get from Nola at this point. And through 4 innings, man, I tell you, through 4 innings, he was dealing. He was hitting the right pitches. Him and JT were on the same page. Real quick, before I get into the recap, and I got a hell of a recap for you guys. I just want to shout out the former Braves. I ain't like him when he pitched for the Braves because I mean he was a good pitcher, but Schmaltz, man, he is the Tony Romo of the MLB. He might be even a little bit better. Every single thing, I feel like everything this dude says just comes true. Like the insight that he gives on there, that it's second to none. I'm a big fan. I know a lot of Philly people aren't liking Smoltz calling the games because they feel like he maybe goes against Philly a little too much, which I really don't see too much. But he's a gem. I don't even care that he's a lifetime Brave. I don't care. He's a great announcer. Like I said, I love the insight that he gives, and I'm looking forward to just even listening to that dude. He makes the game easy to watch. I mean, of course, I'm going to watch regardless. We're Phillies fans, Astros fans are going to watch, baseball fans are going to watch. But Schmaltz he's a great announcer. But to jump into the recap, man, the Astros came out aggressive. Altuve, he's been aggressive all series, but he comes out aggressive and he doesn't get the outcome he wants. He pops out the Marsh, Pena, and again, this is just I'm gonna go batter by batter because it was such a great game. It really was up until the 5th inning. You gotta think. Coming into the game, one of my notes that I had was that the Phillies had to protect against that crooked inning, meaning that they could not let Houston come in and hang up a 3 spot, a 4 spot, a 5 spot, and it's exactly what they wound up doing. But outside of that, I mean, the first 4 innings of that game, there were some tight sphincters on both sides. And Altuve comes out aggressive. He goes after the first couple pitches. He pops out the Marsh. Pena got a fastball early and 2 breaking pitches afterwards, goes down with a 3-pitch strikeout. And then Nola comes back and he starts Alvarez off with 2 balls. And this is going to be a theme of this podcast because I am not happy with the ump, but I'm not disappointed in the ump as a Phillies fan. I'm disappointed in the ump as a Major League Baseball fan. And what I mean by that is he was horrible for both teams. He was terrible for both sides. Too many times tonight that I see, and it was right here, the third batter of the game, Alvarez comes up. He gets 2 breaking balls. They are in the same exact spot. One's called a ball, one's called a strike. Now, that happened, I counted at least 4, maybe 5 times throughout the game. It was a note that I made, and I was just like, it was a note that I made early on. I made that note third batter of the game, and it just continued to happen. It continued to happen, and for both sides, again, it didn't, do I think it did change? It did change a lot of the game. But it affected both sides. It wasn't just the Phillies that got screwed. It wasn't just the Astros, and both sides were really affected by this home plate ump. I mean, I'm cool with expanding the strike zone a little bit. You got a little bit of a bigger strike zone, whatever. But there were too many pitches inside for the Astros too. There was too many pitches inside the box that just were called balls. There were too many pitches outside that were called strikes, and there was too many instances where these dudes, Javier and Nola, went back to back in literally the same exact spot. One was called a ball, one was called a strike. But listen, that third at bat, Alvarez, like I said, he started off with 2 breaking balls. It was 1-1, and he battled. He did the same thing last night to Suarez, where Suarez was able to get the first 2 guys, and then Alvarez was a little bit of a battle. And he pokes a hit to left center. That Marsh made a good play. He was able to get to it pretty quick. He held it to a single, and he gave Nola a chance to go after Bregman. Bregman hits a weak ground ball to Segura, and the Phillies get out of the first inning with nothing. Schwarber steps up, and this is where Javier was, Christian Javier was on his shit. The Phillies are a good fastball hitting team, and they just weren't able to do. I'm gonna call it like I say it. They weren't able to do shit against the fastball tonight. Not a single thing, nothing. But Schwarber was started off with 4 straight fastballs. He did nothing with it. What did he do? He popped out to left field. Hoskins showed a little bit of patience in his first at bat, but he popped out to Altuve, and then Real Muto gets 2 breaking balls, and then he got a fastball on the inside quarter, middle of the plate. Or not middle of the plate, belt high, but it was a little bit inside, but it was still a strike. And he just watched it. He watched it go by, and then the next pitch he chases a breaking pitch for a strikeout. And it was kind of the theme of the night. The Phillies just could not get onto the fastballs. But in the second inning, Tucker, we everybody knows what Tucker did last game against Nola. He broke Nola last game, and he starts this one. He hit 2 home runs off Nola and then went on a 0-for-8 slide after that. And he gets a leadoff double. And at that point, Nola was dealing. He started his outing. There was 21 pitches to that point. 17 of them were strikes. But Tucker, Tucker gets a hold of one. He does what he's done so far all series against Nola, and he gets a little something started for the Astros. But then Gurriel comes up and he grounds out to Bohm. But that was a great instinctive play. That was something that we used to do in Little League ball. I never thought that I would see something like that in the World Series, and I'm sure it's happened before. But he is Tucker. Tucker's on second base. He's not the fastest dude in the world, but he just plays that limbo. He's at second base, and Bohm has a long throw to make. And as soon as Bohm gets that throwing motion and he's decisive, and they know that he's going to go ahead and fire that ball over to first, and it's a long throw back for Reese, he takes off and he gets the third. And that was huge for them. And now they weren't really able to do much with it, but still a good play. Vasquez gets hit on the next pitch. You got runners on the corner, and they called it in real time, and it was something that I had put in my notes too. But that it wasn't the worst hit by pitch because it puts the double play ball in action. And the next guy up was Diaz, who's coming into this game with a .056 average in the postseason. And the crowd got behind Nola, and Nola battled back, and he strikes him out with 4 straight off-speed pitches. And And then McCormick comes up, the Philly. I'm not going to call him the Philly guy. He was a Philly fan. It's been talked about nonstop, but he's not a Philly guy. I think they said he was a Millersville guy. He could support our team, but don't claim the dude is Philly. He's not Philly. And if he is, I'm sorry, but you're not Philly for this series. But Nola gets him on a breaking pitch away, gets out of the second inning with nothing, and then it's time for Bryce. Bryce comes up and he gets a walk, shows great patience in the at bat. He gets a walk, and then the guy that I love to hate and hate to love, and love to love and hate to hate, Nick Castellanos comes up, and he's kind of killed us all year with his offensive play, but he's streaky, but his defense has really kind of kept us in this series and has been great for us in the playoffs. But he comes up, he strikes out on 3 pitches, and I know it's something that's been harped on all year, and it's not going to change. It's just the player that he is, and it's definitely not going to change in Game 4, Game 5, Game 6, or Game 7 of the World Series. But he's got no patience at all. He strikes out on 3 pitches. And then Bohm comes up and he strikes out too, but Bryce is able to get to second base with a bad throw by their catcher, Vasquez. Bryce is able to get to second base and give the Phils the first opportunity with runners in scoring position, and Stott pops out to second. When plays like that are being made, you got to take advantage, and you got to just a single there, just a little single. And Stott has great at bats. He typically can battle and wait for the pitch that he wants, but he wasn't able to do nothing there, and he wasn't even really able to put a good ball in play. Again, pops out the second, and we get to the top of the third, and it's Nola's second time throughout the order. So that's going to be a focal point in at least this recap is the second time through the order. It's a big thing in Topper's mind when he's deciding whether or not to leave his pitchers out, whether to go to the bullpen or not. It's a lot of it in this playoff run has been, how many times has the pitcher gone through the order? How did they look the first time? How did they look the second time? I don't really like them going through the third time. That's kind of his mindset, and he's stuck to his guns. But second time through, Altuve goes first pitch hunting again, and he tries to pull an outside pitch, and he grounds out the Bohm, who really did make a good throw to get Altuve over at first. And then Pena comes up, and Nola rings him up on a breaking pitch for the second straight time, and he got Pena looking silly out there. And then Alvarez comes up, and they made a point to it on the broadcast to where he was he was taking batting practice, and when he came out of batting practice yesterday, right before Game 3, he had said to his hitting coach or whatever that, somebody's in trouble. And it turned out up until this point, up until the top of the third, it was him. He was 0 for 6 for his next 6 at bats, and he doesn't do anything there. Nola gets out of the top of the third with a 1-2-3 inning. Bottom of the third comes, and they put up a graphic. Javier was just throwing 14 fastballs, sliders. Up until that point, he had thrown, 72% fastballs, they had said, 28% sliders. He had thrown no other pitch. I think the next time he had threw something other than a fastball or a slider, it was a knuckle curve. But Gene Seguri flies out to center, and his slump continues. And I have been, for this playoff run, ever since that little slap hit he got to right field against this in the St. Louis series, I'd been calling him Mean Gene Segura. It's just something that I put on him. I'm like, this is Mean Gene. I'm introducing him to my kids and my wife. They're like, who's that? That's Mean Gene. I'm taking the name back. Until he does something. And by something, I mean just get me a hit, get on base, do something, help your team. Because defensively, lights out. Can't complain on defense, but offensively, he's batting. What is he batting? 7th in the lineup, and he's just not doing anything. Maybe there got to be a change. Maybe move him down, but that's not going to happen with Topper. He's proven already. He's not going to shuffle his lineup. He's going to continue rocking with the guys that he got where they are. But Gene flies out the center again. That slump continues. Marshy comes up. Or no, Gene. Well, I think Gene was batting 8th tonight. Marshy comes up. He walks a 4-pitch walk to get on base for what is one of our most powerful hitter. and one of our better hitters, but kind of like the Bohm and Bohm up the bat and Bryce on first at bat. Schwarber strikes out. Marshy steals second, gets the second, and he gives Reese an opportunity to come through with a man on second. And Reese does what Reese does best. And I'm not down. I'm not here to kill anybody. I'm just calling it like I see it. Reese does what he does. He pops out in foul territory to first. Didn't even put the ball in play. And we're through 3, and the Phillies got no hits. And 0-0 game. Top of the 4th, Bregman comes in, first pitch hunting again. And this is where I say that the Astros are just, they're an aggressive team. And especially in this series, they're going to continue to be aggressive. You got to make these pitchers on the Phillies staff, they've just got to make that first pitch. That first pitch has got to be their best pitch. Get a swing and strike, get something that is going to set these guys off balance and help you out later on in the at bats. But Bregman goes first pitch hunting. He gets a center. He flies out the center field. And then the Nola killer, Kyle Tucker, comes up again. And he lines out the Castellanos. Now, that I know that had to feel good for Nola. This dude has been killing him, and he gets an out. But even that ball was smoked. It just happened to go directly to Castellanos. Tucker, I don't know what it is. I hope that, everything that has been going on, I hope it stays true to what he's done in his series. I hope that it's just Nola that he's hitting and everybody else that he stinks against, but he's got something on Nola to where that dude is just not missing these pitches. And again, I hope it's just an Aaron Nola thing, which it's been up until this point. But Tucker lines out. Gurriel goes after the first pitch again, but he puts this one in play. He gets a hit. And again, just like that first inning, Marsh makes a great hustle play to hold it to a single. Gurriel turned the corner. He was ready to go to second. He seen that Marsh got there pretty quick, decided against it. And that was big. That was big. It turns out, maybe doesn't turn out to be a game save or anything, but in the moment, in the top of the 4th, before things went south, it was a big play, huge play. And credit to Marsh, credit to the defense. They played decent. It was just a matter of a couple of pitches. But Vasquez comes up next. He gets one on the ground over in the right field, and he sets up a 2-out rally for the Astros. And typically a 2-out rally in a World Series game is going to have, as I like to call it, your balls are going to be in your stomach. Your balls are going to be in your stomach. Let me get it out right. Your balls are going to be in your stomach. But Diaz has been slumping. Diaz hasn't really done anything in a series, and I'm not afraid of Diaz. Now, it could change as the series goes, but up until this point, I'm not afraid of Diaz. I look at him when he comes up, and the game just these critical games just keep seeming to find Diaz, and he just keeps losing it. He's not doing shit for the Astros. He comes out, 2 men on, 2-out rally, and he grounds out to Stott. And at that point, the Astros had and again, they like to sometimes call it the announcer's jinx, but they said that the Astros at that point had 16 straight innings without a run. And that was the top of the 4th. That's what they put out at the time. And we know what happens after that. But the bottom of the 4th, the Phils enter this one hitless, and JT gets starts off as a bat with 2 balls that are called strikes. Again, thanks to our ump. And then a slider in the dirt. And then he chases high cheese for a strikeout. Bryce misses a first pitch fastball that he probably could have turned over and put into the seats. But he misses that first pitch fastball. Then he chases one inside, and then he misses another high fastball. He's down on strikes. And Castellanos, for being such an aggressive hitter, like, again, I just talked about how aggressive Castellanos is and how aggressive he's been. He sits on a first pitch fastball. Now, if you're going to be aggressive, if you're going to die on that hill, motherfucker, die on that hill. Be aggressive. You got that first pitch fastball, and your team needs a spark, and you watch it go by. After that, strikes out. And at that point, the Phils had no answer to Christian Javier. And then the top of the 5th comes. And it's funny, my other 2 co-hosts who can't be with us tonight, it's a little late. They both get up pretty damn early. We were talking in our group chat, and Tom, I'm going to pull up the messages real quick. Tom talked about went through and had just said how where was it? Where was it? Where was it? If this game stays 0-0, what was it? Well, hold on. Oh, no, he commented on Aaron Nola's pitch count, and I responded to him, the pitch count don't matter here. He's only going 5 or 6 regardless of his pitch count. And Tom had said, if the game stays 0-0, Nola stays in longer. And I'm like, no, he's going 5, maybe 6 max. And he said, in a 0-0 game. And I'm like, yeah, we're going to try to keep the momentum if we got it at that point. And at that point, it was at that point in time, it was a good observation, and we were going back and forth. And the reason I bring this up is because one of my points to Tom was Topper doesn't like to see, he's very conscious on his pitchers going through the lineup for a third time, and right on cue, first at bat of the inning, that Millersville guy. Chaz McCormick. He gets an infield hit on a nice play by Stott, but he didn't have the arm to get it there in time. Then Altuve comes up, he lines one in the left field, and the Astros got 2 on with no outs. And don't really know why Nola and JT decided to go inside when it was obvious that Altuve was trying to pull the ball. I mean, they were saying it on the broadcast. You could see what he was trying to do his last at bat. You could see what he was doing when he's fouling off pitches. He was trying to pull the ball, and they should have just stayed outside or up in the zone, which he was whiffing at. But they go inside. Altuve lines one. Now they got 2 on with no outs. Pena comes up, and 2 on, no outs. He misses a first pitch breaking ball. And then he tries to lay down a sac bunt, which is like, you're a professional baseball player. You should be able to get a bunt down at any time. And I thought it was the right play at the time. I thought that the Astros trying to push those runners over was the right play, but Pena didn't get it down. He works the count to 2-2, and then he hits a ball to left field that loads the bases, and Nola's night is done. So Nola's out. They chase him from the game, and he was cruising through 4. He makes 2 pretty bad mistakes to Pena and who was it? Pena and Altuve. And they weren't mistakes like he didn't miss his spots. They said it on the broadcast. It was pitch selection. The first 4 innings, the pitch selection was perfect, and he was executing. And even in those 2 pitches that he missed, he didn't miss his spot. He didn't miss his execution. It was just a wrong call. Alvarado comes into the game with bases loaded and no outs to face Alvarez. That's a tough spot to put any pitcher in, but Alvarez is our top guy in the bullpen. Him and Dominguez, you could kind of go back and forth. But he comes in, and the first pitch he throws to Alvarez is 100 miles per hour to the Chichos. Alvarez takes it, bases loaded, hit by pitch. Now the Astros got 1 across, and that was demoralizing. That was, I had said, now, of course, the worst thing that can happen in that moment for the Phillies is a grand slam. But I had mentioned to my guys in the group chat how I thought personally that was the worst possible thing that could have happened, because now he didn't even have to do nothing. It was the first pitch he gets hit. And now the bases are still loaded, right? The bases are still loaded. They still have no outs, and it's already 1-0. Sad times. Bregman gets a 2-run double on an 0-2 pitch. Alvarez throws that cheese, and he slaps at the right field and drives in 2. Now we got men on second and third with no outs still. Kyle Tucker comes up, sac fly, makes it 4-0. Gurriel gets a gift. And now this is where I feel like now, of course, this doesn't matter. If the Phillies lose 5-4, I'm probably harping on this a little bit more. But in the grand scheme of things, hindsight 2020, this pitch did not matter. But first pitch, strike. Second pitch, Gurriel gets a gift. It was a strike. It was painfully obvious that it was a strike. I mean, I don't even understand how the ump could call it a ball. I mean, you got the square on a TV. It's like 3 inches above the bottom of the square. It's like, bro, blindfolded, I could have known that was a strike. But the ump calls it a ball, and Gurriel gets what we call extra life there, because on the next pitch, now it's 1-1 instead of being 0-2. Alvarado hits him with a 100-mile-per-hour fastball up in the zone and gets him swinging, right? Could have and should have been strike three. Instead, it's a 1-2 count, and Gurriel, with that extra life he delivers, gets a base knock, makes it 5-0. And at that point, the Astros had just broken the game wide open. They had taken the crowd completely out of the game at that point. That was it. That was the one inning where they had put up these crazy numbers, and that was the lopsided inning that we were trying to avoid. But Vasquez, he comes up, he strikes out for the second out, and then 38-year-old Yuli Gurriel steals second to get in the scoring position. But Alvarado again, to our guy, strikes out Diaz, looking with a generous call from the ump. So to where we had a call go against us. He strikes out Diaz with a call that went for us. It was not a strike. It was a ball. But like I said, ump was shit all night for both sides. Astros put up 5 in that inning, which is the most in their World Series history for a single inning. And that's what they were going to need. Again, that was one of the focal points coming in. Don't let them put up the crooked number. They put up 5, and that's what they were going to need to get a dub in Philly. Bottom of the fifth, Bohm strikes out looking to start the fifth, which cannot happen. You can't have what you did yesterday, being as aggressive as we were, and then tonight we're just striking out looking. But Bohm starts off the fifth. He strikes out looking. Stott comes up after him. He strikes out looking. Javier's strike versus Stott was his fifth. That was his 5th straight strikeout. He had struck out JT, Bryce, Castellanos, Bohm, and then Stott. 5 straight. I mean, again, I can't credit the dude enough. I fucking hate him because he's on the other team and he did this to us, but he was that dude was dealing, bro. He was dealing. And next AB, Segura chases a breaking ball, pops out in the foul territory, a la Reese Hoskins. Foul territory, first base, not even in play, but the Phillies are done there in the bottom of the fifth. And the Astros, again, they completely took the crowd out of the game in the fifth. And that's what they were trying to do since they landed in Philly, and they weren't successful doing it in game 3, and they hadn't been successful through the first 4 innings of game 4, but that 5th inning changed everything. That was the key to them getting this one back to Houston, and they were able to capitalize on the mistakes made by the few mistakes made by the Phillies pitcher. So we get to the top of the 6th, and now it's like, all right, we're going to get Alvarado out the game. We're going to start to empty the bullpen a little bit, and we want to keep this thing at 5 to give our offense a chance, but we're not going to use guys like Sir Anthony Dominguez. We're not going to use, the guys that we're really going to need for tomorrow. But Andrew Bellotti comes in to pitch for the Phils, and he just we needed these guys to eat up some innings, don't give up no runs, and we got a bullpen game tomorrow. So this was tough. This was a tough one to have our starter get chased in the 4th, and then Alvarado come in, and that was the guy that you were hoping would nail it down. But again, you put him in an impossible situation, and he didn't help himself out with that first pitch. But we got a bullpen game tomorrow, at least a projected bullpen game, and that is where you need these dudes that these lower level dudes, the Brad Hands, and I call them lower level, and I'm only saying that in Topper's mind. Like Topper don't look at none of his guys as lower level guys. He obviously has faith in all of them, but these are the guys that we know if it's a 2-1 game in the 7th inning, we're not going to see. All right, Andrew Bellotti's not coming into the game, even though he's done well for the Phillies. But he gets McCormick. McCormick's just like he started off the top of the 5th, starts off the top of the 6th, and he was the one who started that rally with a single. He leads off in the 6th. Bellotti rings him up. Altuve skies the ball to left field, and then Pena flies out to left center, and Bellotti nails it down. Javier enters the 5th with his no-hitter still intact, and we don't do nothing to help ourselves out. Marshy hits he grounds out into the shift. Schwarber fouled off a bunch of pitches, then he grounds out into the shift, and then Reese grounds out to the shortstop, and through 6, Javier still has his no-no intact. And the Phillies can't seem to figure nothing out. Top of the 7th, Robertson comes in. Alvarez strikes out. Bregman pops out. Tucker does walk on 5 pitch, but then Gurriel pops out the Bohm. Robertson does his job. He gets the Phillies. He keeps the Phillies in the game, just like Bellotti did. turns it over to the offense, and the Astros now are going to the bullpen. This is the chance where the Phillies, you look at it and you're like, okay, we weren't able to touch Christian Javier all night, but breathe a sigh of relief. He's out the game. Now we could try to attack this bullpen and see if we can't get something going. And JT strikes out. They bring in Brian Abreu. JT strikes out. Bryce strikes out. And then Castellanos gets a gift on the second pitch, which was clearly a strike that was called a ball. Again, we call that extra life. And to where the Astros were able to capitalize on their extra life, we were able to do nothing as Castellanos chases a pitch outside the zone for the third straight strikeout of the inning. And again, they keep their no-hitter intact. Top of the eighth, Eflin comes in. Vasquez strikes out. Eflin gets through the top of the eighth with no more damage. We get to the bottom of the eighth, and Montero comes into the game. Bohm works the count full. Then he strikes out as the Astros bullpen goes on a nice little run to where Christian Javier had a little run where he struck out 5 straight fills. The Astros bullpen went on a little run where they struck out 4 straight fills. And Stott comes up, 3 pitches, fly ball to left field. Then that guy, again, I'm not going to call him Mean Gene no more, not until he does something. But Gene Segura steps up to the plate, and he does make solid contact, but he lines out right to right field, and it doesn't help us. If you're not getting the ball, if the ball's not hitting the ground and it doesn't count as a hit, we don't have runners on. I don't care how hard you hit the ball. You're not doing anything. But Montero gets through the eighth, and he keeps the Astros no-hitter intact. So now it's like you're starting to get that feeling like, okay, are we about to get no hit in the World Series? Top of the ninth, Brad Hand comes in to pitch, and he's another guy that if it's a close game late if it's a close game and it's bottom of the eighth and it's a 1-run game and Phillies, you're not going to see Brad Hand in a game. But it was good to see him in this game, and he gets the heart of their lineup. He gets Altuve to ground out the Stott. He gets Pena. Pena got a hit on him. He lines out. He lined one up the middle for a 1-out single, but then Alvarez flies out the deep center, and he gets Bregman. Then the bottom of the ninth comes, and Presley comes in, and this is where the hats are flipped inside out and different things are done. I really did have some belief that the Phillies were going to have a chance to do something. I set up the camera. I was ready to record the reaction to it so that we had some good content. But Marshy, he chases a slider in the dirt. Schwarber comes back. He works the count full. He gets on base with a walk, which was nice to see. But then, of course, and here goes, Reese flies out the right. JT grounds out to Bregman, and the Phillies get no hit in Game 4 of the World Series. There's the game breakdown. That was batter by batter, and it just again this one's different. This one hurts because of the fact that we weren't after what we did last night. We were not able to put a single hit. The only base runners we had were walks. It's just again, it's a tough one. The last no-hitter thrown in a playoff game was in 2010. Roy Halladay for the Phillies in Game 1 of the NLDS versus the Reds. So I mean, even though obviously I don't want to see it against the Phillies, but we've seen a little bit of history tonight. It was what was it? It was the second no-hitter in the World Series, and it was the first combined no-hitter in World Series history. Christian Javier, again, I can't talk enough about this dude. 97 pitches, right? 70 of them were fastballs. This dude was, here's my fastball, hit it. And it was up in the zone. And the Phillies are a great high fastball hitting team, and they just weren't able to do shit with this dude. Nothing. They did nothing to even make it look like they had an idea, to where last night, McCullers, they knew everything that he was throwing. Tonight, Javier had them off their game, and he threw a great game, obviously, no-hitter. But I found it interesting that out of 97 pitches, 27 were not fastballs. 70 of them were fastballs. Nola was cruising through 4. Again, it was that third time through the lineup. It was obviously second for McCormick, who leaded off that 5th inning, but it was the third time through the lineup, and the Stros just put it on him. Alvarado was not his typical dominant self tonight. Again, he started off his outing with a terrible hit by pitch, but hey, shit happens, man. that pitching staff for the Astros, they were masterful, and I can't say it enough. Kudos to them. But neither team has lost 2 games in a row, and that stands true with this game. And if we just keep that stat, if we go through this series and neither team loses back-to-back games in the playoffs, and the Phillies win a World Series, and I'm okay with it, but it's going to be tough. There's 3 games left. We are tied at 2. We no longer have the advantage. We're dropping 1 in Philly. There's 3 games left. 2 are in Houston. 1 is in Philly, and it's an even series. We got 3 games. We have Game 5 is and we are at such a disadvantage with us having a bullpen game and them having Justin Verlander hit the mound, which, we roughed Verlander up in the first game, but he's a good pitcher. He's a good pitcher, and I'm hoping that we're able to continue to get after him tomorrow like we did in the first game of the series, which, again, we didn't wake up until the 4th inning, but we woke up. Tonight, we just didn't wake up. Phillies 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position. The Astros are 3 for 8. That was a big difference in the game. And Phillies really didn't have much chances. Again, 0 for 2. Both were on walks and stolen bases on strikeouts. That's how we were able to get our 2 runners in scoring position, to where the Astros were slapping it all over the yard. They go 3 for 8. They win 5-0. It's a tough one. Again, it's a tough one. It's something that we didn't expect. If you would have had me bet before the game, and it's not just because I'm Philly and I'm a homer. If I had to bet before the game who was going to win this, I'm taking the Phillies. Look at the momentum. Nobody had beaten them in Citizens Bank Park. They had been 6-0 up to that point. And they just, they didn't show up. The offense didn't show up. The pitcher showed up until a certain point, but things just didn't go our way. It's a long series. It's a long season. You're going to get these. You're going to get these kind of nights. You hope that you can avoid getting them in the World Series, of course, especially in a Game 4 where you get a chance to go up 3-1 with the opportunity to close it out tomorrow night in Philly. But it happened, and we move forward, and we look towards Game 5. Speaking of Game 5, again, I've already mentioned it. It's going to be a bullpen game versus Justin Verlander. And I expect now that crowd is still going to be rocking, but now Houston's back in it. They got they have, I wouldn't say they have the momentum just yet. We're still in Philly. But they made this a series to where the Phillies had them on the ropes after last night, and they could have delivered another blow and gotten them, really staggered going into that Game 5, but they let it slip away. And now we're staring at a tied series going into Game 5. And I'm not going to doubt this team. Nobody in Philly should doubt this team. This team has shown us time and time again that they're going to continue to fight. They're going to continue. They're not going to lay down and die. They're going to continue putting their best foot forward, and they're just going to do what they do and try to get us a dub. But let's talk about tomorrow. If you are a Philadelphia sports fan or if you're a Houston sports fan, tomorrow is a hell of a night. Now, I know your football team's not as good, but tomorrow is a night from the Philadelphia and the Houston sports gods. You got Game 5 of the World Series, which that's going to be front and center, I think, for everybody. Any sports fan in the 2 cities and probably across the country. World Series Game 5 goes on the biggest screen you got, okay? We're not looking at, I'm not channel surfing. I love the Eagles, right? But the Eagles are going on this screen. Eagles are going on a 6-inch screen to where the Phillies are going to get the 65-inch screen because it's Game 5 of the World Series in a series where we're tied at 2 versus the 8th game of the season where a 7-0 Philadelphia Eagles team is taking on a, 1-5-1 Houston Texans team. And tomorrow is going to be crazy. Tomorrow is going to be absolutely wild. I don't know how. Actually, no. The Eagles ain't going on a 6 screen. I got another monitor. I'm going to set that up to where I can watch them both. But most of my attention is going to be on the Phillies, as should everybody else's. But just to have that chance to root for the Phillies, root for the Eagles on the same day, it's going to be. I'm already pumped. I wish that I could just press fast forward and get to tomorrow, but got to be patient. Got to be patient. I'm really expecting the Eagles to come out. They did what they did against Pittsburgh, and of course, everyone this year has been kind of, not everyone, but a lot of the better teams have been walking all over the Pittsburgh Steelers. So it's kind of okay, you whooped up on them, but now you got to keep it going. You can't look past your opponents. You got to look at them, and that's what this Eagles team does. I don't think that they're looking past this Houston team. I'm excited for the opportunity again to see Jalen Hurts and that offense ball out. I'm excited for the opportunity to see our defense play. I don't care if it's against the Houston Texans or the Buffalo Bills. A win is a win is a win, and the Eagles need to go out and get a win. Let's get to 8-0. Let's just continue piling up these wins. Now we are chasing that number 1 seed, okay? And we have the clear-cut advantage. The 2 teams behind us are the Vikings and the Cowboys, and we've already beaten both of them. And the Vikings, a lot of people are buying into the Vikings and what's going on. And of course, they just made a great move getting Hawkinson from the Lions. I don't understand how the Lions could trade a young piece like that, a dominant piece like that, a George Kittle type of tight end. And I call him the George Kittle type of tight end because that dude will get in there and he will get involved in the run game. And then of course he's a dynamic pass catcher, a great route runner. How do you trade a young tight end like that to a division rival where this dude is going to come back twice a year and he's going to whoop your ass for that? I don't understand what Detroit's doing. If you want to trade him and you want to get some picks, send him. If you want to send him in a conference, fine. Don't send him in your division. But great pickup for the Vikings. And I'm not scared of the Vikings. We already whooped their asses. Dallas is a great matchup. San Fran is, I think they are, I understand they're 4-4, but I think San Fran is the second scariest team in the NFC behind the Birds. We're going to break more. We're going to go into the NFL breakdown probably tomorrow night or Friday night, probably Friday night. So join us then. But get into a little bit of NBA. I'm actually watching the Grizzlies and the Trailblazers are on. There's about 4 minutes left. Woo! The Blazers are on a run. They just hit, and it wasn't Dame who was. Blazers are on a 16-2 run in the last 4 minutes to cut the lead to 3. They were just down 17 to Memphis, and within the last 5 minutes, they've cut it down to 3. Now they have the possession, and they're driving up the court. 1 second. Stay with me here. My one viewer, I appreciate you. I got to pulls up. Do yourself a favor. If you're not watching, if you are live, my one viewer with me, go turn on ESPN. Go watch that Memphis and Portland game. They are on a 19-2 run in the last 5 minutes and 20 seconds, and they have tied it, and Portland is rocking, and Dame's not even in the game. Memphis takes the lead again, but let's break down a little bit of NBA. Sorry, I got a little excited. I love sports. I love the crowd reactions and just this run that they're on, and they just tied the game. It's 98-98, and again, it is rocking in Portland. But tonight, not only did the Phillies lose, and this is a tough pill to swallow, but not only did the Phillies lose, our Sixers lost. Embiid's out with the flu. Sixers dropped this one 121-111 to the Washington Wizards, and not a good loss. I don't care about who's missing. I don't care about not a good loss. You got to beat the Wizards. You're trying to rebound and get back on a little run after a bad start. You got to beat these teams. But Porzingis, 9 for 13, 1 for 4 from 3. He put up 30. Bradley Beal was 11 for 17, 1 for 2 from 3. He put up 29. Kyle Kuzma, 8 for 12, 2 for 5 from the 3. He put up 18 points. Porzingis had 9 rebounds. Kuzma had 8 rebounds. It was just a good game for them to where the Sixers on the other side, they got a decent, it was a good first half for Tobias. He had put up majority of his points, but he finished at 6 for 12, 16 points. He was 4 for 5 from 3. Maxey continues to do his thing, 11 for 25 for 9 from 3. And he drops 32. And then the Beard, 8 for 18, 3 for 8, 10 assists, 24 points. Georges Niang gave us 13 off the bench. Daniel House gave us 12 off the bench. It was nothing to write home about. They didn't look good. I watched the first half of that, and then once halftime came, I was fully locked into the Phillies. I kept checking the scores. I did have it on the phone for a little bit. They just didn't look too good. They didn't look in sync. For the second time in the last week, Boston Celtics drop a game to the Cleveland Cavaliers, who Cavs look like a good team. Cavs are balling out. Jaylen Brown, 10 for 26. My man took 26 shots. You got 45 shots. 47. My math is off. 47 shots between Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. They give you 56 points. Tatum went 8 for 21, 26 points. Jaylen Brown again, 10 for 26, 30 points. Al Horford gave you a double-double with 12 rebounds, 12 points. Tatum gave you a double-double with 12 rebounds, 26 points. Marcus Smart gave you 16. Grant Williams gave you 11, and Malcolm Brogdon gave you 15. And I look at that stat line, and I'm thinking, now I watch because I have an affiliation with a lot of people from Boston. Portland is tied at 100. They're looking to take the lead. Corner three, they miss it. They get an off defensive rebound. Okay, I have a lot of friends that are in the Boston area, and because of that, I watch a lot of Celtics games because I talk shit on them, and I they talk shit on us with the Sixers, and I want to know what's going on over there. But you give me that stat line, and I think most of the time the Celtics are going to win. That's not a bad stat line. Memphis takes a 2-point lead, 102-100. Desmond Bane looks like he's putting up a decent little game again. But on the other side, after Karis LeVert, what did he drop? 40 or 41, and then comes back the next night and drops 1. So I seen a meme that said dropping 41 one night and then 1 the next night is like peak Karis LeVert experience. And that's just what it is. That's how he was on the Nets. That's how he's been on the Cavs. It's just he's very hit or miss. But LeVert gives you 15. Evan Mobley gives you 15. Jared Allen gives you 14 and 14. 14 points, 14 boards. Donovan Mitchell goes off for 25, and Darius Garland gave him 29. And it was those 5 guys. Outside of that, they didn't get much else from anybody. Dean Wade played 24 minutes, gave him 6 points. Kevin Love played 14, gave him 8. And Seti Osman played 12 and gave him a big fat 0. Big old fat 0. Boston drops another one. Cleveland wins 114-113. Miami beats Sacramento 110-107. And the Kings are the Kings. Harrison Barnes gives you 12. Domantas Sabonis gives you 22. Kevin Huerter gives you 22. And Malik Monk gives you 19. Outside of that, they really didn't get much from anybody else, to where, on the contrary, the Miami Heat had 3 players go over 20. They had 6 players in double digits. Bam Adebayo gives you 20 points and 11 rebounds. Tyler Hero gives you 26 points and 12 rebounds. Kyle Lowry gives you 22.7 assists. And the other guys in double digits, Max Strus gives you 10. Gabe Vincent gives you 10, and Dwayne Dedmon gives you 10. Miami's looking to rebound. They beat who they beat? They beat the Golden State Warriors. Was that last night or the night before? They beat Sacramento here. They're looking to turn things around. They didn't start the season so hot. Not at all. Atlanta beats the New York Knicks 112-99. John Collins gives you 12 points, 13 rebounds. DeAndre Hunter gave him 21 points. But it was Dejounte Murray who balled out in this game. Now, Trae Young took 22 shots. He only hit 7. To where Dejounte Murray took 27 shots, hit 14, and dropped 36. If they can get consistency from Dejounte Murray and Trae Young gets going, Trae Young does his thing, and these other guys. Atlanta's a sneaky team. Do I think they're going to win anything in the do I think they're going to come out the East? I don't, but it doesn't mean that they're not a sneaky good team, and they're not a fun team to watch. Trae Young, again, 7 for 22, drops 17. And the Knicks, the Knickerbockers, they 5 guys in double digits, but they really didn't have that explosive game from anybody. RJ Barrett gave you 19, Julius Randle 14, Jalen Brunson gave you 20, and then Emmanuel Quickly and Obi Toppin gave you 11 and 12. Knicks fall to the Hawks 112-119. Chicago picks up a much-needed victory over the Hornets, 106-88. Mason Plumlee gives him 11 points, 13 boards. Kelly Oubre Jr. gave him 24, and really not much else outside of that. Dennis Smith, who was a late acquisition, gave him 10. Gave him 10 points. What was it? 5 rebounds, 6 assists. He didn't really do much. But on the other side for the Bulls, there was nobody that really stood out, right? But there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 players that gave you over 12 points. And when you get guys like that. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm reading the wrong thing. They got 16 from Patrick Williams. They got 14 from Vucevic. They got 10 from Levine. Levine had an off night shooting 4 for 16. They got 17 from Javonte Green, 16 from Dragic, and 10 from Derek Jones. Nobody really stood out. Nobody took over the game, but they get a good win for them, 106-88. Next game we're looking at is the Clippers. Clippers getting back on track, beating the lowly Houston Rockets. 109-101. Paul George puts up 28. Marcus Morris, a Philly guy, shout out to the Morris twins, gives you 21, and Reggie Jackson gives you 12. Everybody just kind of, every person that touched the court tonight, with the exception of Amir Coffey, gave you 4 points or better. You get that, and they had, what was this? They had their whole team play, with the exception of course, Kawhi and Brandon Boston Jr. They had everybody play, and everybody, with the exception of Amir Coffey, contributed, at least points-wise. Eric Gordon, 0 for 4, gave you a fat 0. Sengun gave you 26 points and 13 rebounds. That was a pretty good game by him. Jalen Green gives you 22 points, and Kevin Porter Jr. gives you 22, and it's still not enough for the Houston Rockets to overcome that. They lose again, 109-101. The undefeated best team in the league, MVP frontrunner in Giannis. You could go Giannis or Luka. They they beat up on the Detroit Pistons here. What was the final score? 116-91. The Pistons really didn't get too much on the offensive end from anybody. Sadiq Bey gave them 22. Bojan gave him 14. Isaiah Stewart 16, and Cade Cunningham gave him 10. He was 5 for 13 shooting. They didn't get much. And when you're going up against what I think is the best team in the league, the only undefeated team in the league left, you got to bring more than that. Giannis puts up 32 points, 12 rebounds. Drew Holiday goes for 26. Bobby Portis puts up 10. Brooke Lopez put up 11. Like, they got it sprinkled from everywhere, and they're led by Giannis. And that team is scary. They are doing what they do, and they're still missing key players. Who do they got out? They got Middleton out. They got somebody else. It's eluding me right now. I'll come back, drop it in the comments after. But they are they're without some of their key players, and still balling. This game was a little out of pocket. The Toronto Raptors, 143. San Antonio Spurs, 100. You give up almost 150 points in a game. I want to see this stat line. OG gives you 18. Pascal gives you 22. Gary Trent Jr. gives you 24. Scotty Barnes, 15. I hate Scotty Barnes' face, but he is such a good player. I wish he was somebody that we had in Philly. Chris Boucher, who, again, he balled out a little bit in the playoff series against the Sixers last year, gives him 17. Benton and Precious Achiuwa give him 13 and 12. Then on the other side, I mean, you lose by 43. There's really not many things I could talk about on your team, but Bates Diop gave you 17. Branham gave you 13. I mean, maybe moral victories. I don't know. I don't think you have any moral victories losing by 43. And Dallas and Utah battle. Now, Utah, I've seen the memes everywhere. I don't think Utah has gotten the memo that they are supposed to be a bad team, because they just keep winning. Not in this one. Utah drops it, and make sure you tune into ESPN. Memphis Grizzlies 107, Portland Trail Blazers 104. There's 23 seconds left in the game. Desmond Bane got 25 on 7 of 16 shooting, and Anthony Simons has 31 on 10 for 20 shooting. Memphis got the ball. Actually, let me see. I kind of want to bring this live. They inbound back into the backcourt. They get the foul. Oh, they don't get the foul. They do get the foul with 22.1. Memphis is going to go to the line. Who is that? Is that Bane? I don't know who's shooting. I'll tell you in a second. But for the Jazz, Larry Markkinen puts up 14. Vanderbilt puts up 15. Jordan Clarkson gives him 22. Mike Conley gives him 11. And Colin Sexton puts up 19. Not terrible. Not terrible. Decent stat line. And again, kept them within. They lost to Dallas by 3. And on the other side, I would say I wouldn't argue anyone that says Luka could be the MVP frontrunner. I got him placed maybe second again behind Giannis, but he gives you 33 points, 11 assists. Spencer Dinwiddie gives you 20. Christian Wood gives you 21, and everybody else just kind of fills in and does their thing. And the Mavericks win by 3. 20 seconds left. The Trailblazers are coming up, pulling up for the 3. And they miss. They get the offensive rebound, kick back out for 3 to the corner. They miss again. They get another. Oh, no, they didn't get the rebound. They get a foul. 8.4 seconds left. Portland's down by 5. Looks like Memphis is going to get away with this dub. But yeah, the Mavericks pull out the dub there. I'll run through now that it looks like this game's going to be pretty much over, I'll run through the stat line for the Memphis Grizzlies versus the Portland Trailblazers. 109 to 104 with 8.4 seconds left. Memphis is shooting 2 at the line. They hit the first one, and let's go through the line real quick. Steven Adams gave you 24. Desmond Bane gives you 28. John Morant gives you 20. And David Roddy gave him 10 on the other side for the Portland Trailblazers. Jeremy Grant gives him 23. Nurkic gives them 23 with 13. Portland hit a shot. They're going to lose by 5. Nurkic gives you 23 and 13 rebounds. Simons gives you 31. And outside of that, I memean, Dame didn't play. I think if Dame's in this game, it obviously changes it. But Portland drops to 5-2, and Memphis jumps to 5-3. The last game on the slate here right now that I'm looking at is the Los Angeles Lakers and the New Orleans Pelicans. In that game, my boy Zion got 21 going for him so far. CJ McCollum got 18. Jose Alvarado got 15. And Trey Murphy, the third, with 12. And for the Lakers, Troy Brown Jr., 15. LeBron got 14. 14.7 rebounds, 7 assists. Anthony Davis got 16 points, 10 rebounds. Lonnie Walker, 25. And Russ, we had a debate. I was talking with Derek. Giannis leads the Bucks to a 7-0 record with a 6 straight 30-point game. That's vicious. I missed that stat. I was talking with Derek about Russell Westbrook, and he had mentioned to me that if Russ really embraces this role off the bench, right? That's your 6th man of the year. That was the kind of the conversation that we had. Can Russ win this 6th man of the year award if he embraces that, that bench role that he's doing? And he comes up. At this point, there's still 3 minutes left in the game. Lakers are down by 2, but 13 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists. He get a couple more points in there. I know he dropped 18 the last couple games, but if he can do that along with those rebounds and those assists, he's going to win a 6th man of the year award. I mean, those are some pretty decent numbers to have backing you up. If again, he's got to stay consistent. It's got to be he got to embrace it. He's got to embrace the off the bench role, and if he does that, I think that Russ has a great chance at maybe winning a 6th man of the year award. That wraps up our NBA slate for the night, and that's going to wrap up our show for the night. Again, disappointed that the Phillies dropped Game 4, and of course, they're showing me the goddamn replays right here, right now. I can't escape it unless I just go to sleep, which is what's going to wind up happening. But I will be live with you guys again tomorrow after Game 5, Eagles Thursday Night Football. Now, I'm going to be live, win, lose, or draw. I'm not going to bail because we lose. I'm not going to be, we're not going to bail when we lose and be there when we win. We're going to be here probably. I'm going to make the attempt to be here every night with you guys. I appreciate we got some viewers in here tonight. We're going to keep this thing rolling. I appreciate each and every one of you. Please like, share, subscribe, all the pages. We are going to be giving out. You give us a couple weeks. We got a contest we're going to put together. We're going to be giving out Flyers and Sixers tickets to everyone that likes, shares, and subscribes to our pages. You want to be a part of that? Get in now. If you like, you share, you subscribe our page. You're going to subscribe to our page, our YouTube page, Facebook, everything that you can do that too. We're automatically going to enter you into that if you're in the Philly area. And if you're not, if you're in a different area, then we'll figure it out. We'll get you something. Maybe we get you tickets to your hometown team. With that, this has been the Philthy Dad Pod. Again, a place where 1 washed up dad talk sports to the masses in between wiping asses. This is RG. I'm signing out. Have a good night, everybody. As soon as I figure out how to end it. Boom.